Hello, and welcome to another episode of Movies That Make Us. I'm Jake.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Val.
And this is episode 199.
Wow.
Next one is episode 200.
We are so
Crazy.
close. So close.
Yeah.
Yet so far away. Oh, sorry. It's also 9 p.m. where I am, so
Right. Yes.
yeah.
It's the After Dark episode.
Yeah.
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 We should have done this from the very beginning. Like, where in the world is Valerie? And like, have
Where
people
in the world
figure out where you're at.
Valerie?
I'm actually excited to be where I am right now with the topic that we're talking about tonight, because tonight we're talking about our favorite movie creatures. They don't have to be scary, but like creatures or monsters. And I am in Rome, Georgia, and I went and took a picture of the house from Stranger Things where the main creature lives. If you guys remember the big mansion that, if you've seen Stranger Things. And so I went and visited that today. I also went to one of the biggest, I think, it may be the biggest. It was a very big cemetery. Like there's over 20,000 people buried in this cemetery, but the cemetery has been in a lot of movies. It was in the bonus scene of Black Widow.
Okay.
Where Florence Pugh's character goes to see buried Black Widow. Sorry, spoiler alert. Black Widow dies. But it was also in
For like
need.
People that haven't seen Endgame, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
all
Like,
fast.
I don't know where people are at in their lives right now.
That's true. That's fair.
It was also in Need for Speed, that funeral scene. It is creepy, but also really cool. I don't know why I always visit cemeteries when I go to historical places, but
No.
and it's usually like Sammy calls or texts me and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm in a cemetery again." I don't ever do like the tours that you go to at night. No. Like today, walking through there at 2 p.m., there was like rustling, and I'd be like this, and then rustling, and it's squirrels, man. Like there's just a lot of squirrels.
Yeah.
Are they?
But at night, it's ghosts.
Ghost
for sure.
squirrels.
Yeah, ghost squirrels.
Ghost squirrels. It's also the same cemetery where Jim Morrison's parents are buried.
Oh, interesting.
And President Wilson's wife is buried there with her family as well.
Okay.
Random. But
Yeah.
and a lot of other things that didn't really do well in history. There's a lot going on here in the South, as you can imagine. Sweet Home Alabama. A lot of that was shot here. I mean, Georgia is a place that over the last 10 years, it's just been taking over. In Rome, Georgia, a lot of films.
Yeah, most of the Marvel stuff is down there. Walking Dead was shot down there. Yeah.
So this town's doing really well because of that. There was a new series on FX that was just shot here. I don't know if the series is out yet. And yeah, there's a few scenes where there's like big artillery going down the middle of the street in Black Widow, and also the bridge that she falls down on, that metal bridge. I was on that today.
Very cool.
And one of my favorite sports movies, Remember the Titans, was shot here, and I went and saw the field. I didn't have enough time to go to the actual college and walk through because a lot of the scenes were there, but I did see the football field. So anyways, that was my tour, but only one monster situation.
Okay. All right.
Other than all of the Confederate dead people that were in the cemetery.
Yeah, different kind of monsters, though. Those aren't the kind that we're talking about.
I hope we don't get in trouble for that. But if you don't like us because that's your jam, then
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get political.
Speaking of monsters, how was New York Comic Con?
New York Comic Con, I didn't even, the only time I went into the show floor was after the event had shut down because there was so many people there.
Uh-huh.
Dave did go in, Babe went in for about 45 minutes. He had never been there before. It was really crowded. He went on a Sunday, which at any other convention, Sundays are usually
Okay.
a slow day, but at New York Comic Con, it's one of the busiest days because it's Kids Day. So
Oh,
discounted
Mm.
ticket that day. And it's just packed. But yeah, it was really cool. But there was so much, I think I said this last year, but just like counterfeit tickets, like the monsters there are the scalpers. And I just feel so bad for people because the show sells out. And then if you didn't have the money to buy it when the tickets go on sale, you do what you got to do.
sure.
And I felt like a monster because there's like moms with kids that come up to the
Oh,
window
no.
and they've got like an Eventbrite ticket. It's not an Eventbrite show. And I can't
Oh,
do anything. It's sold out. So I just feel like a bad guy. But it
oh,
is such a good show. And they do try and help people out. But I would just like give people a heads up, like, especially if you're going to go out of town for an event,
right.
plan now for next year, start saving your money, get on the newsletter on the website, and then as soon as tickets go on sale, like
Yeah.
buy them through the website for any event. Like it's just, I see so much of this and I just feel so bad for people.
I saw
That's
some of the
intriguing.
cosplay photos, which looked really cool. And Charlie
There,
Cox
yeah,
dressed up as Bluey.
yeah, there was a lot of cosplay and a lot of really cool celebrities. There are a couple people that were in, like, working with me, got to take pictures with Chris Evans,
Oh, cool.
Hiddleston, a couple other cool people. Michael J. Fox was there. He was there last year too.
Hmm.
Yeah, so just a lot of really cool stuff. I'm sure it was great. I just never had time
Right.
to go in
Yeah,
there. So yeah.
I'm sure an event like that, it's hard to get away
Non-stop
from.
work. Yeah.
I mean, I worked the afternoon shift, which is really not, it's like at noon. So it's already packed by the time I don't want to show up early because, like sleep and stuff, food. Last year I worked the morning shift, so it was easier because I would just go in for like an hour after my
Yeah.
shift before I went on. So I guess I could have gone in, but I chose no.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right.
I
That's all right.
decided to go on the Staten Island ferry for the first time instead,
Cool.
which was really cool. Never been on that before. It's free. Who knew? I didn't know.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because in a lot of places not named where we live, like public transit is cheap or free because
Yeah.
they understand the value of it.
Yeah.
So,
I rode the
and
subway
everybody takes
a
it.
few times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I went into New York on a train. It
I
was
saw
supposed
that.
to be a 3 to 3.5 hour ride. It turned into a 6 hour ride because who knew that you could also be postponed on a train? It's not just flights.
Oh,
But
wow.
then when you get into Philadelphia, they actually have to change engines because it can't go through all the tunnels with all of like the smoke and the fuel and everything. And
Oh,
so they
sure.
changed the engine. Um, and the first engine that they changed, it was having some technical difficulties. So then they had to change it again. But I was in a really comfortable seat and I was screening movies. None of them were good. So I
Oh.
can't wait to write reviews about those gems.
Yeah. So it sounds like when they changed the engine, it was the little engine that couldn't.
Couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ah.
Ah.
could. Um, speaking of trains, I don't know if you guys saw this. So Patrick Stewart came out with a book, and he
No.
was doing a book tour.
Oh.
And his one request on the book tour was that he gets to take a train everywhere in the U.S. on the book tour. So he's
That's
been
cool.
riding Amtrak
That's
and
cool.
loving it. Apparently, I saw it on his TikTok.
All right.
It looked like he was really enjoying it, and I thought that was really cool. What a cool
Yeah.
way to
Cool.
travel and see
I would like to do it more. It
Yeah.
was really pretty. And I went through Philly and Just a lot of places that were kind of cool. And then, but I would like to do it like on the West Coast, like where you start in California and go all the way up the coast. And they have like the trains that have the glass so you can see like the redwoods and like all that stuff. And I'm like, that would be cool.
Yeah. Trains are pretty cool. And in other places, not called where we live, they use trains for actual transportation instead of a novelty fun thing. And it's just...
Jake's throwing shade tonight. There's some shade.
I had no idea you were so anti-UTA.
I'm pro UTA. I would like to see more UTA. I would like to see more public transportation. I think one of the things that's really hard, and this is a tangent we don't need to go on, but one of the things that's really hard in the Mountain West is that everything is so car centric. And so if you want to get a job or think, you have to have a car. And if you can't afford a car, you can't afford to have a job.
Right.
Yeah.
And if we had good, affordable, reliable public transportation, it would be good for some people. That's all I'm saying.
Jake needs to run for office.
No, I don't. I don't want to put my family through that scrutiny. Myself through that kind of scrutiny.
That's the reason you need to run.
No.
Because we need people that don't want to be there.
I have seen too many comments.
I think there's a lot of people in office that don't want to be there.
True.
Yeah. Anyway, I would love to be in a position to help make a difference. Maybe I would do something grassroots level, but I wouldn't want to be anything.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We will all three be making a difference together when we run the Disney 10K in January, and we have an event coming up in like 2 weeks.
Yep.
Where you can come every year. It's now an annual event because you can only call something an annual event if it happens more than once. You cannot call a first event an annual.
Mm-hmm. I hate it when they call it the first annual.
First annual is not a thing. Yeah. Ours is annual because this will be, is it the third or fourth time we've done this? Our third time will be at the Midway Tavern in Midvale, and it's free to get in, but you do have to be 21 or over. Mm-hmm. It's free to do trivia with us, but we will have chances to win prizes, a lot of fun stuff, and all of the money, 100% of the dollars goes to American Cancer Society.
Now, we got some great raffle prizes. We've got full-size smoker. We've got movie passes. We've got local restaurant business gift cards. So yeah, there's some great prizes to win. A Lego set, Indiana Jones Lego set.
Nice.
So, and I just want to clarify, when we say a full-size smoker, we mean the kind that smokes meats. It's not like some old lady named Bertha that we have that smokes a couple packs a day.
We can't actually raffle people, so
yeah, right. That's illegal, and we can't do that. You could raffle a date with Bertha. We could see if we could get that worked out.
You can set up dates with people. Yeah.
It is at the Midway. We are so grateful to Bill and for letting us come back. I will say, though, if you're going to come, you're going to need to get an Uber or a car because there's no buses or trains that go to the Midway. So
I think there's a bus that goes somewhere by. Yeah.
Maybe.
But it probably will end about 9 o'clock. So after that,
Jake's going to die on this hill.
I don't even know why I'm feeling so spunky.
I like it. I like it, Jake. I like this.
Jake takes a hard stand on something. It's usually for a good thing. So I'm down with the.
Down with the sickness.
But we are excited about running. I'm not, but we're going to try really hard to get excited.
You're even less excited because they announced the start time is 5 a.m.
I know. I'm sorry.
And that doesn't mean show up at 5 a.m. No, that means we start moving our feet.
Yeah.
Because I don't have issues with mornings, but it's like waking up at 5.
It's waking up, getting dressed, walking over, using the bathroom, checking out the entertainment, getting into the corral, and then waiting. Then they'll do the national anthem, and then they'll have banter, and then we'll start. Yeah.
Like Dave's not even going to be awake by the time we get done running.
Yeah, it's we're getting up at 3:30 in the morning to be put into a corral like
Mhm.
sheep or cows or it's
But we're
crazy.
doing
What am I?
this for this
It's
is what
for a
we're
good
doing
cause.
to raise money
It is for a good
for
cause.
cancer research
We
and
are
health.
now, friends, we are less than $1,000 away from hitting our goal.
Yeah,
So we are
getting
cruising. We're
closer.
doing great.
And
We
we
just need your
appreciate
help.
all
Yep.
of the contributions so far. And if you have the ability or the desire or both, I guess, we would love more contributions to get us even closer to our goal.
$5, $10. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you
Everyone
don't
will
have
help.
money, I've had a couple people reach out to say, I have stuff to donate. So if you have a local business or you're crafty or whatever, we don't want like your used clothing.
Right.
I don't need any smelly socks
Mhm.
to raffle off, unless they were like Brad Pitt's
Unless they're
socks.
really going for a price. Like if you're into that and you want to pay for some smelly socks,
I would say they
No,
needed to be
no
worn
shame.
by someone,
no shame.
like someone like famous. But
Well,
like we,
We're
like
raffling off
people,
a cake with Bertha,
people were
raffling off
asking me,
30
What is that?
socks.
people were
I
saying
got your
like
socks.
they sell Scentsy and they wanted to donate Scentsy items.
Oh, that's
Great.
Well, that will cover up the smell of the socks.
Somebody works at a local rib company and they wanted to barbecue gift cards. Great. I believe Dave is going to be donating, like he usually does, some money to
Nice.
goes towards a tattoo that always
By the
goes
way,
quickly.
Dave Man Tattoos, check him out on Instagram. He did one recently, Lord of the Rings, that
Yeah,
was
it was pretty awesome.
insane.
Yeah.
It was pretty
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, it was one of the few times that I'm like, maybe
I wouldn't. Sorry, Jake. I wouldn't let you.
thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. My wife also wouldn't let me. And
Yeah. But I mean, I would be
I would
like,
say,
no.
yeah,
I'd be like, Dave, cancel that appointment. It's
I'll be the devil in this one. Do it. Do it. Do it.
no, I think there are some things that like would mean a lot that I would consider if I was interested in doing it. But you know what I mean? But I'm just not interested in doing it.
No, I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, this week it's Halloween time. We are
Woohoo.
talking about creature features. I thought that sounded good. It rhymes.
Yeah,
like
I
that.
like it. I
You
You
should
know,
like
write
it.
that down. You should go into marketing.
Well, I think it's been around. I think people have used the term creature feature for a long time, but it works for us. We are going to be talking. We're doing a staff picks. We haven't done that in forever, so we're
Yeah,
doing a staff
it's been a
picks
while.
here. And we're going to each talk about 3 different movies. We're going to go round robin. Valerie explained the rules to us earlier, so I'm going to have you walk us through it again.
Yeah, I mean, there aren't a ton of rules. You know me.
Yeah.
You pick your favorite like creature that could have been in more than one movie, or monster, or you can pick like your favorite like movie that has a creature in it. So as long as there's a creature
Of
in
some
or around
sort.
the situation, then you're good. So like I'll jump off and I'll
Okay.
tell you my first one, which I don't think is going to be a surprise to anyone, because I love shark movies, is The Meg. But if we go back into shark movie history,
Yep.
there's a lot of shark movies that I also like. Of course, it all began with a Steven Spielberg movie called Jaws, which we talked about.
We're good
Don't
friends,
ask me
Steven.
about The Meg 2 because I haven't seen it
It's
and I don't
great.
care to see it. I
Tracy-
did how. Yeah, I feel bad for you.
It is silly fun. Like,
Okay. Okay.
It starts off pretty good and then it drags in the middle, but boy, the ending, just you get Jason Statham on a jet ski with
There
a
was-
broken paddle
Man.
with a homemade explosive attached to it, harpooning the shark to blow it up. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you're
Of
getting.
course.
Makes
Of
sense.
course.
Spoiler alert.
But I love shark movies. I know I have said I'm not into Sharknado. That's a different kind of shark movie for me. The movie The Black Demon came out this year to stream. I thought that was pretty good. The Shallows is a different kind of
Shallows
shark
is a
movie
good
as
one.
well, and I enjoyed that. There's also one called, I think, I want to say, let me see if it's in my list here. In the Deep.
Yes.
and that came out a long time ago. But that one is like it's a little bit of a slow burn, and then it just gets you in the end. But it has a lot of good people in it. So yes, I like The Meg. That's one of my favorite monster creature movies. But it's also because I dig like shark monster movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you watch Sharktopus?
Oh my gosh.
Because that's a good one.
Probably not. I did like Deep Blue Sea though.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that one.
Santa Jaws.
And I would probably watch Jurassic Shark.
I would watch that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a real movie.
It should be.
But there's a lot in here, like The Deep, Shark Huntress, Apex Predator. I haven't seen any of those. But if you like shark movies, there's a plethora of shark movies that you could get into. Yeah. Like Life Aquatic is a shark movie, but it's not the same as all these other shark movies.
Did you see the one where the people go scuba diving and then the boat leaves them? It's not technically a shark movie.
Yes.
Open water.
That came out, I think 3 or 4 years ago?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So that's my first one. So there you go.
I like that.
I like it.
And I'm a big fan of the shark movie as well, but I also like the silly shark movies.
Really,
yeah. All 3 of my monsters are very different, by the way.
Nice.
Awesome.
Hey, Jake. It's all you, buddy.
It's all me, huh? Wow. Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about which creatures I'm going to start with, but you guys know I don't do a lot of scary movies, so I had to pick creatures. Anyway, the first one I'm going to go with is E.T. I love that movie so much. And we've talked about it on the show. You guys can go back and see it. But I mean, this is that visitor from another world kind of story. You get that kind of, I mean, there's a lot of heart to it. The interactions between Elliot and E.T. And of course you love E.T. I mean, who doesn't? Literally everybody does. If you lived in the 80s at all, you love E.T. Even if you didn't, you love E.T. How could you not like it?
If you don't like E.T., I don't know who you are and what you're doing.
Yeah. And I tried to think of like other movies that would be similar. And we've talked a little bit about Flight of the Navigator is another one where there's another kind of alien creature. There is, of course, darn it. Now it's the Paul Rudd favorite that he always brings.
Oh, Mac and Me.
Yeah.
Yes. The Conan
I watched that movie so much as a kid.
I've really only seen that one scene that he brings to Conan O'Brien every time.
You don't know what we're talking about. Stop the episode right now. Google Paul Rudd, Conan O'Brien, Mac and Me, and just enjoy.
It'll brighten up your day.
It will. Absolutely.
Especially the podcast episode. That one.
He does it on a podcast. Oh, you have to go check that out.
Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend. He brings an excerpt from his audiobook, and it turns out that it's the soundtrack from Mac and Me, or the sound from that scene. And Conan O'Brien's like, "You jerk! I totally did not think you were going to be able to do this to me." And
yeah. What I love the most about those encounters with Paul Rudd and Conan O'Brien is how awful Conan O'Brien is at acting and pretending like he had no idea this is what was going to happen.
That one, I legit believe that he did not see that one coming.
But the other great thing about E.T., and I've got to give a shout out to my sister on this one, E.T. terrifies her. She is scared to death of E.T. And I don't understand how that...
I could kind of see that, though. He is kind of creepy.
He is. But, I mean, if you've ever seen a newborn baby, it's basically the same. They look almost the same.
If your newborn baby looks like that,
call the doctor.
I don't know what.
Call the National Enquirer.
You'll make some monies.
If your newborn baby looks like that, you probably rode the bus too much. So, just kidding. That's not how that works. Wow. That hit a lot harder than I meant for it to. That was funny. Again, with the public transit, my rant earlier.
I'm dead right now.
Tracy, what's your first creature flick feature movie?
I can't breathe. Hang on.
I don't even know what that means.
Jake and the show loves people that ride the bus.
I do. I love
you
people.
know,
Val's reaction was just great.
I'm just I don't even get what that's anyway.
I don't know
But it
either.
was good.
not-
It's
This is a late night episode.
The
We
After
never
Dark
know.
episode,
We
yeah.
never know.
Let's not dwell on it. Tracy, what's your first creature feature?
So I've got a creature from outer space.
I'm
and
not
it is-
surprised. I knew this was going to be on your list.
Oh, it's John Carpenter's The Thing.
Okay.
Oh.
Now,
I was wondering how far you were going to go back.
if you have not seen this one, this is an 80s one. This is Kurt Russell when Kurt Russell was in all his
Not Kurt
Russellness.
Russell.
Yeah. And it holds up. Like every effect in this is a practical effect, and it's still freaky as all get out. So the basic premise is you have this alien creature that crashes to Earth, and it can take the form of anything that it sees or touches. And it starts off where the opening scene is a dog running through the Arctic, and a helicopter is chasing it with a guy with a sniper rifle trying to shoot it. And the dog goes to the other American base because it's a Swedish base where the guy's trying to kill it. And the dog ends up at the American base, and of course the Americans are like, "Why are you trying to shoot this poor little dog?" And there, before the Swedish guy can explain what happens, there's hijinks, and he's not able to. And so they bring the alien inside, and then it starts to kill them off one at a time. And the great thing about this is that this creature can take on anything or anybody. And so there's this whole level of suspicion, like nobody knows if they can trust each other because one of them is this alien creature. But in between, as it changes forms, it takes on these really weird, grotesque shapes. And seriously, the special effects are still freaky as all get out because it's practical. And it is stop motion at times. And so it's a little bit like, I thought about like one of the creatures that I thought about was Clash of the Titans with Medusa, because it's got that creepy stop motion feel. But it becomes like spider legs with a baby head on top, and then it morphs into, I mean, it's crazy. It is so over the top. But that one, I watched it the other day while I was working, and while I was on in the background, I wasn't like watching it, but I was just like, this thing.
Listen, you don't have to pretend like you're.
No, legit though. But I was just like, I did stop a couple of times, and I'm like, yeah, that still works. That works well. So, John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah, that's a classic. You always hear people talk about our friend Alan Cerny over on Matinee Heroes. That's like one of his all-time favorite movies.
Good. And then they made and not a lot of people liked the prequel that they made with Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Mm-hmm.
It actually is pretty decent. I mean, it's not bad, but it tells the story of the Norwegian team that leads into The Thing. And so that one's not bad either. But yeah, The Thing, that's a creepy monster creature.
Yeah. Yeah, that John Carpenter guy, I wonder whatever happened to him. He seemed to have a knack for that kind of horror
Something
flick.
like that. Yeah, him and some guy named Stephen King. Yeah, don't know what happened to him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Wonder what they're doing now. Valerie, what's your second?
My second movie is it's a specific movie with creatures in it, and that runs kind of a gambit, and it's one of my favorite like thriller creature movies ever that I think is very underrated, and it's called The Mist. And it came out in 2007, and it has Thomas Jane and Marcia Gay Harden. And to me, this movie is so cool because it's actually one of the best endings in a movie that I think. If you haven't seen it, I do not want to spoil it because the ending happens and you're just like, what? And you think to yourself, that's a little more realistic than an ending because, anyways, I won't get into it. But there's a lot of no.
So it's different from the book. The book has a very different ending.
I haven't read the book.
And so the book has a very specific ending, which is also good, but it's not that. And Frank Darabont wrote the script, and he sent Stephen King an email, and he said, here's the script. I changed the ending. If you're upset and you're mad, I will take it back and I will do the one that you did. And Stephen King wrote back and said, the only thing I'm mad about is that I didn't think of that ending first.
Nice.
This is far superior.
That makes me
Not
like
much
it
blessing.
even more. But this movie, what I think is so cool about this movie is that more than halfway through the movie, you don't see the monsters, and
Yeah.
there is more than one. But what the main monster is in the movie is us. So what happens to people when you seclude them and you basically take away, you know, what their regular life is, and there's a bunch of people in a supermarket from all walks of life, and there's always a couple people that make themselves the leader. And Marcia Gay Harden, I love her so much, and in this movie she is an awful person. And there's a moment where she just starts like yelling, and she's like a big like Jesus person, and I don't mean that in a weird way, like very, I don't even want to say religious, because I don't think it's religious.
Sees herself as a Christ-like figure.
Yeah, like it's like it is unhealthy.
Mhm.
And she is so judgy, which is ironic because you shouldn't be in whatever position she thinks she's in. And she's yelling, and then somebody just smacks her across the face. And I just think it's great every time. But like, she was an awful monster and made people question what they should do, and they would get killed. But then you have the monsters outside that you can't see in the mist. You have the monster in the back door. You have all of these webs in the neighborhood. And then you have the webs of the people in the store, and they're like wrapped up. And then you have the spiders that come. Like, it's so much, but it's not gruesome.
Right.
It is thriller, suspense.
Yep.
And the ending is just like,
I'd do a whole episode on this
yeah,
movie.
I would too. Like, we haven't yet, but it's
and the creature effects.
yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's really, it's one of my favorite creature movies.
That's another one I watched like a week ago. Just because
every time it's on, every time I see that it's on, I'll watch it. Yeah.
So good.
Jake, you look bored.
I haven't seen The Mist. Sounds like I need to.
It's so good.
I'm sorry. I'm not bored.
No,
I'm not bored. I'm enjoying the conversation.
I think it's
don't
only
have much to add.
There's a couple of F-bombs, but
I don't even remember them because you just get so caught up.
Yeah. But it's not gory.
Yeah, it's horror, sci-fi, thriller.
Yeah. So the basic premise is that this mist covers this town, and these people are trapped in this grocery store when it comes in, and there are creatures out there, so they're trying to stay locked in, but yet get away. Yeah. And Val, you're absolutely right on when you're like, and somebody in the cast, like one of the actors mentions it. He's like, when you strip away all the stuff of society, because they're like warning about that Marcia Gay character, and he's like, she's not going to do anything, she's just talking. And the guy goes, yeah, she's talking now. Yeah. But when they start to realize we're going to run out of food, and we're going to run out of fuel, and we're going to run out of lights, and we're going to run out of, then it's really going to get real. And then we're really going to see what these people are like. And it's good choice.
All right, Jake.
So I don't know if these count as creatures, but I had to pick something that I knew would just make Tracy's day. So I went with The Sixth Sense and ghosts as the creature.
Yeah, they're creatures.
Yeah, I like this.
Creatures.
I like this. That's my favorite Shyamalan film out of all of them. So
I think I was going to say everybody's, but it's a lot of people's favorite M. Night Shyamalan. I loved it. I didn't get the ending until
they said it.
Yeah, I didn't figure it out. So I was totally surprised. And I don't know how, like, I remember the first time I watched it was on DVD. How I made it to that point without hearing the ending was pretty impressive.
That was pre-internet,
everybody,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pre-internet.
So that helps.
I mean, the internet was, Al Gore had invented it. It
wasn't as green.
Yeah.
But
everybody was talking about the movie, but there was kind of this like social contract that you weren't going to ruin it for people. They had to see it, and they had to see the ending. And but that movie, to me, that's like the threshold of my scariness, because it's a lot of jump scares, it's a lot of intense stuff, and I can do that kind of. I still don't necessarily, but this one I enjoyed quite a bit.
So are you
and I thought
saying
it was
that,
just kind of.
sorry, I thought you had a pause, but are you saying that the main character is your favorite creature? Is Bruce Willis
So
your favorite creature?
absolutely, Bruce Willis is definitely top 3 as far as creatures go. Um, no, I love Bruce Willis. I don't see any reason why he
Because
couldn't
he's
be
the
top
dead
3.
guy.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah, he
goat.
is. But he
Yeah.
sees other dead people as well, and but just ghosts in general. I think when you do a good ghost story, it can be a lot
Yeah.
of fun.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that you can do with ghosts. It can be family friendly, like Casper. It can be entertaining and funny, like Ghostbusters, or it can be really creepy and scary, like Sixth Sense or Poltergeist. And there's
Right.
just a lot you can do with ghosts. So
The Changeling freaked me out when I was
Oh
a
my
kid.
gosh. Yeah.
yeah,
Poltergeist got me. Yeah. Ghost story. I'm
Not
always
the
stuck with good
series, The
ghost stories.
Changeling. That was also scary, but you're talking about the movie back in the day, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The wheelchair
Oh,
and
that
George
scared
C.
the
Scott.
crap out of me.
but there's a lot of really good ghost stories, and I feel like it's one of those things we've told ghost stories from like the beginning of having language and telling stories, and
Right.
you know, from generation to generation. It just doesn't get old. There's always something new or something different, or even the old classics. They're still really good.
Well, and I've really enjoyed. I've got a friend who's like big into ghost horror, scary stuff, and he has collected a bunch of movies from different cultures, and it's like ghost stories from Korea or ghost stories from Romania, and like there's some really interesting stories and stuff from there that's really cool that tie into the folklore and the history. And yeah, I'm always down for a good ghost story.
And I 100% believe ghosts are real, so they freak me out.
Have
And
you
that's it.
ever experienced anything?
No, and I don't
Okay.
want to, but I not that I no, I haven't ever experienced
Okay. I
anything.
was just curious because,
No.
yeah.
I just believe
Either.
I like in my mind, if there's any kind of afterlife, then why wouldn't there be some kind of crossing over between the two different realms,
Yeah.
dimensions, whatever you want to call it? So,
Yeah.
but like watching ghost hunter shows and stuff like that, I'm like, this is going to keep me up all night. So
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever really experienced anything, but like there have been times where I watch something and then like all night I'm like, is there a ghost scary?
It's
Like
coming.
And it's
that's stuff in
probably
my
not
head.
a squirrel. Like it's,
No, not in my house. No, when it's in my house.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, have you ever had that experience where you're like laying in bed and like you feel like somebody's watching you?
Uh-huh.
Now, usually when that happens, it's one of my 6 kids that have like snuck into my room and they are actually watching us. But when they're not there, it creeps me out a lot.
That makes
So,
perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Although when it is one of the kids, that also freaks me out because
Yeah.
they're just kind of and you
Yeah.
don't expect to see.
I've woken up before when Sammy was little and her face is right here and she's just staring at me. And I'm
Yes.
like, you're 6 years old. Why don't you just poke at me and like wake me up? But she's
Yeah.
just like staring at me until I wake up. Like,
Why didn't you say anything? You were sleeping. I didn't want to disturb you. Well, the good news is I'm not sleeping now. Probably won't for the rest of the I'm done. That's sleeping. So
all right, Tracy, what you got?
All right, so I've got one. This is a creature that is only in this movie for 3 minutes, but oh my gosh, what a 3 minutes it is! I'm going with Guillermo del Toro's The Pale Man.
Oh,
Pan's
yeah.
Labyrinth, because
I mean,
that
such a good character.
creature is Doug Jones brings that thing, and it's cool. He plays the nymph, he plays the tree, he plays the pale man. But the cool thing with this creature is like it is so weird, and it's like it's really cool because I've seen it like on film books, like you go like film school, like a history of film, and they have that on
well,
the
it's on the every time you Google that movie, that's the picture that comes up.
Yeah. And that one's so interesting because that character represents basically the forms of government where it will control and it will eat and it will devour and it will repress. And when that character eats one of the fairies, it is one of the craziest things. And I saw it because I liked Del Toro, and I saw it opening weekend. And there was only one other, my brother and I went to see it, and there was only one other guy in the theater with us. It was an elderly gentleman. And when the first subtitle came up on the screen, the guy goes, "Oh, hell no, I'm not reading a movie," and got up and left. And I'm like, this is why we can't have nice things.
Let me tell you right now, that guy is one of my least favorite people. I don't know him, but I don't think I like him.
So,
because it's that kind of attitude that keeps open caption movies out of theaters, and it makes me
that's
furious.
very true. Yes. But I will say I had the pleasure at FantasyCon that Val was in charge of back in the day of meeting Doug Jones. And if you get a chance to meet Doug Jones, he is the nicest guy on the planet. So I had, they're called lobby cards, and they're just like postcard size sections from the movie. And the set came with several lobby cards from different countries. And there was like 6 of them. And so his handler was like, "Well, pick one and he'll sign it." And he goes, "I'll sign all of them." I'm like, "Oh, you don't need to do that." He's like, "No, absolutely." And he signed every single one of them, sat there and talked to us. And then he gives every single person who comes a hug.
Yeah. He is like one of the best huggers ever.
And the guy is so tall and so thin. He's got this kind of alien, but he's such a nice.
And he's played a lot of characters that you don't know he's played, but you're like, oh, like I've seen that movie. I know that character.
I know that thing.
And like I met him at FantasyCon as well. I met him at a couple other places. And then last year when I was in I think it was Phoenix, he was at that convention, and he happened to be sitting at the same restaurant I was in. And I'm like, do I go up? Because he's in public. I don't like to do that. And I was talking to our friend Larry Curtis in a text message because he knows him very well. And I said, do I go up and say hi? And he's like, yes, go say hi. And I said, what if he doesn't remember me? And he's like, he'll pretend he does because he's so nice. And he's like, but tell him hi for me. And so I went up. I reminded him of FantasyCon. He actually said like a few things about FantasyCon that made me think he remembered. I said, Larry says hi. He's like, oh my gosh, I love Larry. And then we took a picture. He gave me a hug. He's such a nice guy. His handler, like his manager, whoever was with him, was such a nice guy. Like sometimes they're not, because they have to deal with telling people like, look, we're here for dinner. And I don't usually like to bother people on their personal time, but I did with him. And again, such a talented human, and such a nice guy.
He's been in Marvel. He's been Tim Burton. I mean, you name it, he's worked with
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus. Yeah.
So I think we lost Jake for a minute, but I am going to jump into my next one. And before I say my final one, I do want to give an honorable mention, because we're just choosing 3, to Cloverfield.
Yes.
To me, Cloverfield is so great because, again, I love movies where you don't really see the monster, and it creates like this fear with the lighting and the music and the story and the sound effects. And I mean, you do eventually, but you do, but you don't. And it's still more of the surroundings. So you have to work a lot harder.
Slow reveal.
Yes, the slow reveal. And so Cloverfield is my runner-up. And all of the movies that follow Cloverfield that are in that same wheelhouse.
I think it's 7 Cloverfield Lane.
Yes, which is also, or 10. It's 10 Cloverfield Lane.
10 Cloverfield Lane.
But if you haven't seen the Cloverfield movies, those are my runner-ups. I know I'm breaking the rules, but I made the rules, so I give a runner-up. But my main one, which I love, and you can call him a creature, a monster, a lovable guy, your hero, whatever you want to do, but King Kong is my final and my favorite. He's been around since 1933. He's been in movies, whether they're big movies. He's like, I loved it when my nephews, when I would babysit them when they were little, we would still play like The Ground is Lava, but then we would also watch Godzilla and Kong movies, like the ones not in English,
Right.
which were really cool. And then, of course, there was another movie that came out in 1976 and then 2005. And then some of my favorites that have come out recently, where you have Godzilla versus Kong, because I love Godzilla too, but I'm always going to be Team Kong.
Okay.
And the cool thing about him is that he's a hero or a villain.
Right.
He is scary and he's kind. Like you just feel for him. You have feelings for him. And I think it's the reason why we like Jurassic Park so much, is because we created the monster and yet we want to take the monster out. You know what I mean? And if we don't understand it, instead of trying to understand it, we mess it up. And so, but I think, like, even if you've never seen a King Kong movie, if you saw a picture of Kong, you would know who he is. And so I just think it's an icon, one of my favorite creatures, monsters, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, King Kong's number one.
Nice. I didn't know we were ranking these as we were going through. So
you can do whatever you want. I'm just saying that out of the movies I've talked about today, King Kong is my number one.
So I
my
think
boyfriend.
I love the
big, strong,
I don't know.
Tough, sensitive.
I don't know.
Hair.
There's a comic book series coming out where it's King Kong and Godzilla versus the Justice League.
So, nice.
Well,
I'll have to pick
that's
that up.
Yeah.
The Justice League needs to go down because they suck a big one. But...
If you like Godzilla, there's a new Apple TV series coming out about Monarch.
I love Monarch and Godzilla. I love all of those.
It looks really good. Like, a lot of times the streaming special effects, especially in monster movies, look really fake and dumb. This looks like feature film quality effects.
Yeah, and I kind of love that with the old, like, if you have Mothra and Godzilla in some of the original movies, it is like cheesy when it comes to special effects, but that's what I love so much about those old ones, is it just still works, and you have the zooming in on the screaming people, and like, it's just, I kind of dig it. And it was hard because when I was younger, I really liked Mothra a lot. And even Godzilla, like the Godzilla movies, I really loved, but I think my heart kept coming back to Kong.
Do you have a favorite Kong film?
I think, like, the one that came out, I think when I was in high school, was really good with Matthew Broderick, and it wasn't.
That was Godzilla, though.
Godzilla, sorry. Nope, that was my favorite Godzilla, I think. But I think, honestly, when I went and saw, was it 2 years ago when it was Godzilla versus Kong, I really, really liked that one. I mean, I love the old ones, but the fact that you can carry it through, and Dave and I had so much fun at that movie. Like, I'm watching it and I'm like, oh yeah, like, get it, it was just so much fun. And I still have my Team Kong shirt.
Nice.
And he's all about Godzilla. And
but yeah, I would take that. No, take that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's Pepsi, I'm Coke. It's just always going to be that way.
I loved Kong Skull Island with Tom Hiddleston, and
there was a lot of people in that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of cool actors in that. I do think there was a lot in the middle of that movie that just kind of was like.
But you had John C. Reilly as the stranded survivor.
Again, I love all of the actors in it, but you have to admit
it's been a while since
part in the middle, because I tried to rewatch it again last year. Yeah, and it's just it tried to do more story than you should for a Kong movie.
That makes sense. Yeah,
like, if I'm going to a Kong movie, like, get me to King Kong.
Yeah,
and like.
That was the problem I had with the original Godzilla remake, where it took forever. The one with Bryan Cranston.
Oh,
it took forever to get to Godzilla. It's like, come on.
Yeah. I love Bryan Cranston, but
which works for things like Jaws, where the shark didn't look very good, so they had to keep him off camera as much as possible. But now Give us the monster. That's what we.
Especially when you don't know what the monster is. I'm okay with the slow reveal.
Yeah.
But when it's like it's Godzilla, I know what Godzilla is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Give me
I'm
what
not
I
going to
came
be
here for.
surprised when the giant gorilla King Kong shows up. Like, that's what I'm expecting. I bought tickets to it. That's what I want.
Give me the Kong.
Yeah, exactly. So runners up. I have a
Okay.
couple. Young Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster. It's such a classic story. Most of the film versions aren't even close to the book, and if you've never read the book, like, do yourself a favor. It is, like, it really is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is incredible. Young Frankenstein is hilarious. Love
What's
that.
on the Ritz?
So good. And then my other runner-up, The Creature is Dragons, How to Train Your Dragon. I love that movie. I remember going with my son to see it when he was little, and he just loved it. And it was such a great concept of, riding the dragons and things like that. But dragons in general are great creatures that are great movies. The Hobbit is another example of Smaug or Smog, however you want to say it.
Smaug.
Reign of Fire with Matthew McConaughey.
Reign of Fire is another
Yes.
Christian
Oh,
Bale. That's a good one.
I love
So
that
lots
movie.
of good dragon movies. But the movie that I picked for this one is Monster House.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah, and it's one of those where,
Yeah.
like, it tells you in the title what the movie's about, which is totally fine.
But we don't expect
works.
it. We still
Yeah.
were like, what?
Well, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm sure they're going to think it's a monster house, but there's really a logical explanation. And there was, but the explanation was that he, like, buried his wife in the basement and she became the house. And that's totally normal and fine.
Oh, totally
That
fine.
happens all the time. But I love that movie because it's different, in this age of where everything is Disney and everything is Pixar and everything is DreamWorks. And I love all of those. This was something that was different and it kind of stood on its own. And it was unlike anything that was out at the time. Plus his friend, who's the fat little kid, like, that was me as a kid and I loved it. And I just, like, so excited about everything, running around in a superhero cape. Like, he was just awesome. And then the old man that they think is this really big grouch that always wants them to stay off of his lawn and stay out of his house. It's because he cares about the kids and wants to protect them from the house that has become a monster. So it's a great movie. It's a lot of fun. We put it on every Halloween and watch it. So
I love
I
that.
forgot about that one. I'll have to put that one in the queue.
it's a good one.
I like that.
All
All
right,
right, so I got
Tracy.
a couple runners up. Old school. I love the Dracula mythos. So the original Dracula, Nosferatu, that creeped me out. I had to do a research paper. I had to read, didn't have to read. Well, I kind of did. It was an assignment, but we read Bram Stoker's Dracula in AP English. I had to do a report on it. So we went up to the University of Utah to do research. And this is back in the day where you had to use the card catalog and then go find it. And we found out that they carried movies up there and I'd never seen Nosferatu. And so I was like, all right, I'll check this out. And then I was just like, this is so creepy. This is so cool.
Yeah.
So that one's one of mine.
When you started saying old school, I thought you meant the movie Old School. And I'm like, Will Ferrell is a little bit of
He's
a
a
monster,
little bit of a monster in that.
in
Yeah.
that movie.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Cannonball. Cabin in the Woods. This is still a runner-up, but they have so many creatures in that one. But the merman, because they talk several times about how they want to see the merman, and the merman never gets picked. And then at the end, when all the creatures get set loose, you see the merman, and it's this giant fish man thing, and it eats one of the humans, and then it shoots blood out of its blowhole, and it's just so over the top. It's just hysterical. That one also includes a unicorn killing somebody with its horn. I mean, it's just crazy over the top, but it's fun.
Jake, that movie's not for you.
That's a non-Jake movie.
As he's describing it.
This was a runner-up, but this one is a Jake movie, The Rancor from Return of the Jedi. Because that's just a cool looking monster, right? And then you have the trainer who like is sobbing because it died.
Yeah,
like,
I love the attachment that he obviously had to the Rancor, and it makes you sad.
right?
Like that
Before
Rancor
you're
had
just
a
like,
had a
you're like
friend.
rooting for
He
Luke
was
to
a good
kill him.
pet. He
Yeah.
was,
And
took
then
this
you're like,
guy's whole life away from him. Luke
Luke Skywalker,
Skywalker
what did you do?
turned into the dark side, killing.
What a jerk. What a jerk Luke is.
It's a quick trip from killing a Rancor to wanting to murder your nephew in his sleep. Like that's all it takes.
That's a good pair. I had not made that connection.
Yeah.
Who's
You know, they
really the
always
monster
say
here?
the serial killers often start with creatures.
It's true.
Yeah.
Taking the legs off of little bugs and stuff like that. Yeah.
Dang, Jake.
Yep.
You
Luke
just
Skywalker
reframed the
was the
whole
monster
Last
all
Jedi
along.
for me in a
This
whole new
really
way.
just got after dark. That went
Yeah.
real dark. That went real
Yeah.
dark.
Wow. Well done, sir. But yeah, my number one monster creature, and you all know what it is, but it's the alien from the Alien franchise. I mean, it's so creepy. The first movie is a haunted house in space. You have this crew that sets down on this planet. They investigate this signal or the ship that they find, and there's these eggs, and one of the guys leans over and the egg opens up and the thing jumps on its face, shoves an egg down the guy's body. And before you like, because now it's so common, like no spoiler alerts, everybody knows what Alien is, but the first time you see it and that alien comes bursting out of the chest, it's like,
and it's been done over and over. Like it's so iconic that so many different, it's been done in so many different mediums now.
Yeah.
It was in Spaceballs.
Yeah. Hello, my baby. Hello, my but no, I read an interview where Ridley Scott, he was on one of the lots after that came out, and Francis Ford Coppola came up to him and he was like, "How did you do that scene?" He's like, "I've watched it over and over," because he was at the lot so he could get a reel, because this is back before you could stream it or DVD it or whatever. And so he's like, "I had the reel and I sat there and I was going frame by frame trying to figure out how you did this." And so then Ridley Scott was like, "That's when I knew, like, okay, I might be pretty good at this. This might be all right." But then it starts off as like this little bug thing, and then it mutates into the alien. It takes out the entire crew, and then it ramps up with the second movie, and then you develop a lot of aliens, and it develops the alien queen. And the queen is just so freaking cool looking, because they're like, at one point, they're like, where are all these things coming from? And then it cuts to the eggs being laid, and the camera slowly pans across this creature until you see the queen in all her glory. And she has like this exoskeleton crown. It's part machine, part alien. And the scene where Ripley goes down there, and she basically has a flamethrower, and she like holds it next to one of the eggs.
Reason why we should all have flamethrowers.
Right? She holds it up to the egg at threatening the queen, like, "If you want to go, we'll go, but then this is happening." And she like sprays fire above the eggs, and then like is holding it next to the egg, and so the queen hisses, and the guard aliens like drop back. And then later, as they're getting ready, they're slowly stepping back, they're slowly backing out, and there's like this understanding between Ripley and the queen. And then one of the eggs behind Ripley opens, and it starts to unfurl, and Sigourney Weaver gives this look at the queen like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that." And then she just unloads and starts blowing up the place, and it's just mwah. But the other movies, not so great. I'm excited because there's actually a TV series coming. It's being created by Noah Hawley, who did Fargo on FX, the Fargo series. And outside of the last season of Fargo, I really enjoyed the shows. This last season was kind of a not so great. But he also did Legion, which is a take on the X-Men story, Professor X's son. So he's very interesting. I'm very interested to see what they do with that. And then there's a movie version coming out, directed by Freddie Alvarez. And Ridley Scott recently saw it and told Freddie that he was really happy with how it turned out. And Ridley Scott does not give compliments, period, let alone based on works that he's done. Like, he killed Blade Runner 2049. Like, he hated it and was not afraid to let Denis Villeneuve, I can't ever say his name. He wasn't afraid to let the director know it. So Freddie Alvarez was like, "I was terrified but I wanted to hear it from the man himself. If he was going to tell me it sucked, I wanted to hear it from the guy. And he said instead, he was like, that was really, really good. So I'm very interested to see what they do. And I'm bummed because Scott made 2 really good prequels that a lot of people hate, but I enjoyed. And it ends on a cliffhanger, and we're never going to get the 3rd film.
Never say never, Tracy.
Aw.
You know.
He's doing.
Never say never.
He's got the Napoleon film with Joaquin Phoenix, and then he's got another. He's doing a Gladiator sequel, so he's said he's done with it, and I kind of believe him. But
the Napoleon film, Bonaparte, not Dynamite.
Right. Joaquin Phoenix is Napoleon Dynamite.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Watch the heck out of that.
I don't know.
I would watch
And
that.
on that note, don't forget to put in your calendar, and hopefully this was fun for you tonight. I like it when we do staff picks.
Yeah.
And when we can talk about more than one movie at a time, maybe give people something to think about, maybe to add to their list, because just because they're older movies doesn't mean that everybody has seen them.
Right.
So I love that, because sometimes I add things to my list as well. But November 3rd, correct?
Yep.
We will be at the Midway. We'll be raising money. It's kind of our last push. We've got to raise that last $1,000, and I think it's actually like 800 and something dollars. But again, every little bit counts. Again, if you have something that you would just like to add to the raffle prizes, reach out to one of us. You can message us on Movies That Make Us on Facebook, and we can pick that stuff up for you. You can also donate, I believe, even if you can't come that night, or going to a bar isn't your thing. You can donate. We usually have links in the podcast, on our Facebook page, on our Instagram. There's no reason to not find us. You should be able to find the link. And again, whether it's $5 or $100, like, we're equally grateful for all of it. I need to start getting my outfit together to run in, because of course that's way more important than the fact that I haven't been training for this 10K. But if I have the right outfit, I feel like I could push through.
Well, I found the shoes I'm gonna get.
I have my shoes too.
The rollerblade.
Yeah.
Wait, can we use those, or is that against the rules?
They're also $1,400.
Well.
Yeah. That's why I wasn't gonna use them.
Well, they do feel like no rollerblades, so maybe you could sneak these, since these are new.
Like, these aren't blades,
right?
It's not the rules that are preventing me from actually using.
It's the monies. If we had that much money, we would just be. We have all donated, just so you know.
Yes,
we have all personally donated to the cause. I will probably be donating it again.
And we're paying for our own airfare, our own hotel, our own shoes. Everything is coming out of our pocket. Anything you donate goes directly to American Cancer Society.
Yep.
And if you donate $100 to my page, I will write your name on my body somewhere. So I'm running, and then your name could be right here. Or maybe it's a person that you love that has fought cancer before. My mom's name will be on my arm. I have my friend. I have a couple of friends. I mean, I feel like we all have a couple of friends, but my friend Katina is going to be on there.
You know what? If you donate $100, I will write Val's friend's name on my head, because there's a lot of real estate.
There is.
It's a big head, and there's nothing stopping it.
I'll throw this out there. I mean, there's a lot of space on Tracy's head. We could get a couple $100 donations.
We could get at least 5 names on that head.
Easily.
And listen, if you don't want it to be a name, we could write something else. Just tell us what you want written on there.
As long as it's not obscene.
Yeah, as long as it's not obscene and gets kicked out. But
yeah. It's got to be.
You could even request BYU is the best, and he will cry a little bit. But if you donate $100+ he will do it.
I'd do it for charity. Yeah, I'm wearing a Rapunzel dress in Florida, so I will do just about anything for charity. Yeah,
it's true, guys. This is it. If you want to get Tracy,
and
pay it.
It will hurt. The BYU is awesome, marker.
Or just
would hurt.
BYU. Just BYU across the back.
That would hurt, but I would do it.
Wow, it would hurt. I wouldn't be able to help you do it. Like you'd have to Valerie write it on there because I
Oh, I will write it on there.
No, we get Babe to do it. He'd put some flair.
He's not going to be awake.
no,
What are you talking about?
He'll do it permanently, Tracy. We don't want Dave to do it.
You don't want him to do it, yeah.
We want it
That's
to
going to be
wash off
a very large donation. That's got to be a very big donation. Yeah.
Well, I got to get back on the road, so I appreciate the fun chat. I don't know where I'm going next. It's a big surprise.
Nice.
I think I have ideas, but
so tune in next week to find out where Val went.
Our continuing adventures of where in the world is Valerie Cameron.
And then join us on November 3rd. It's after Halloween, so it's all treats, no tricks. Come and check out our trivia. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, guys. Until next time, we won't see you at the movies, but we want to see you at the Midway. So
come on down.
That's right.
This has been an Age of Geek media production.